believed firmly that Christianity was the one and only true religion. The vast majority of them believed that all other belief systems, Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam, Judaism, and atheism, were false. They even largely rejected Catholicism as an acceptable expression of Christianity. But in today's politically correct climate, few are willing to assert that all Americans are defective. Pluralism has softened attitudes to the extent that most Americans no longer recognize the superiority of Christianity to every other ideology and its critical role to national survival. Does the Constitution allow Americans to elect to political office people who do not profess the Christian religion? Yes, it does. Would Americans actually ever do that? The founders' response, very unlikely and highly improbable. But if indeed it were ever to happen, it would be most unfortunate. Governor Johnson then explained that though each of the 13 states was heavily populated by professors of one or more of the various Protestant denominations, there is no cause of fear that any one religion shall be exclusively established. Further testimony to the fact that the single religion of the United States was almost entirely Christian, in the form of Protestant sects, to the exclusion of atheism and the world religion. But Mr. David Caldwell, also a minister, rose and reiterated the lingering concern that danger might arise. In the first place, he said, there was an invitation for Jews and pagans of every kind to come among us. At some future period, said he, this might endanger the character of the United States. Moreover, even those who do not regard religion acknowledge that the Christian religion is best calculated of all religions to make good members of society on account of its morality. I think then, added he, that in a political view, those gentlemen who formed this Constitution should not have given this invitation to Jews and heathens. All those who have any religion are against the immigration of those people from the Eastern Hemisphere. In other words, Jews, pagans, and people from the Eastern Hemisphere, which certainly includes Muslims, would constitute a threat to the religious and moral foundation on which America was founded. Mr. Spencer rose to reaffirm the same two reassurances asserted by Governor Johnson. It is feared that persons of bad principles, deists, atheists, may come into this country, and there's nothing to restrain them from being eligible to offices. He asked if it was reasonable to suppose that the people would choose men without regarding their characters. But in this case, as there is not a religious test required, it leaves religion on the solid foundation of its own inherent validity, without any connection with temporal authority. Again, yes, we are concerned about the nation remaining firmly Christian in its overall thrust, but we cannot force everyone to take a religious oath without creating conflict. Therefore, we must rely on the good sense of the American people to refrain from appointing to political office any who do not possess Christian character, and Christianity is able to maintain its own credibility and superiority without any help from human government. Governor Johnson brought the discussion to a close with an amicable summary of the mutual sentiments of the delegates, as reported in the following words. He admitted a possibility of Jews, pagans, immigrating to the United States, yet he said they could not be in proportion to the immigration of Christians, who should come from other countries, that in all probability the children even of such people would be Christians, and that this, with the rapid population of the United States, their zeal for religion and love of liberty would be trusted. and to the progress of the Christian religion among us. The founders were literally walking a tightrope. On the one hand, they did not want to coercive in the matter of religion. They did not want to cram Christianity down anyone's throat. They wanted America .96% of Americans still believe in God, yet 37% would vote for an atheist for president. Such is the inevitable infiltration of the nation's political infrastructure as Christian values continue to be systematically jettisoned from schools, government, and public life. So what? Does it really matter whether the population of the United States, along with its elected representatives and other public officials, maintain belief in the God of the Bible? Isn't such diversity of ideas healthy and beneficial to the overall well-being of society? Certainly, atheists, humanists, and evolutionists answer in the affirmative, insisting that a religious society, a religionless society is the ideal. On the other hand, Christians recognize that any nation that denies the existence of the one true God and rejects the moral precepts contained within the Christian system ultimately will meet its demise. The psalmist cut to the chase on this point. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. Psalms 33 verse 12. The wicked shall be turned to hell, and all the nations that forget God. Psalms 9:17. From the day of the Declaration, the people of the North American Union and of its constituent states were associated bodies of civilized men and Christians, in a state of nature but not of anarchy. They were bound by the laws of God, which they all, and by the laws of the gospel, which they nearly all, acknowledged as their rules of their conduct. Now, back in the Revolutionary War, during the tumultuous years of the war, the Continental Congress issued no fewer than 9 proclamations to the nation, each of which called upon the entire country to render homage to the God of the Bible, so that they might be blessed with victory, peace, and prosperity. To see the depth of the founders' reliance and dependency on God and Christianity, consider just one of those statements issued by Congress on October 1780, the 4th year of war with Britain. Whereas it hath pleased Almighty God, the Father of all mercies, amidst the vicissitudes and calamities of war, to bestow blessings on the people of these states, which call for their devout and thankful acknowledgments, more especially in the late remarkable interposition of His watchful providence, in rescuing the person of our Commander-in-Chief and the army from imminent dangers, at the moment when treason was ripened for execution, in prospering the labors of the husbandman, and causing the earth to yield its increase in plentiful harvest, and above all, in continuing to us the enjoyment of the gospel of peace. It is therefore recommended to the several states to set apart Thursday, the 7th day of December, next to be observed as a day of public thanksgiving and prayer, that all people may assemble on that day to celebrate the praises of our divine benefactor, to confess our unworthiness of the least of his favors, and to offer our fervent supplications to the God of all grace, that it may please him to pardon our heinous transgressions, and incline our hearts for the future to keep all his laws, that it may please him. Still to afford us the blessing of health, to comfort and relieve our brethren who are of any wise afflicted or distressed, to smile upon our husbandry and trade, and establish the work of our hands, to direct our public councils, and lead our forces by land and sea to victory, to take our illustrious ally under his special protection, and favor our joint counsels and exertions for the establishment of speedy and permanent peace, to cherish all schools and seminaries of education, build up his churches in their most holy faith, and to cause the knowledge of Christianity to spread over all the earth. Done in Congress the last day of October 1780, and in the 5th year of the independence of the United States of America. These men believe that the survival of America depends on the favor and blessings of God. What a far outcry from those in America today who are content with atheists in Congress, not to mention in universities all over America. As more and more Americans eliminate belief in God from their lives, as atheism progressively encroaches upon our political and educational institutions, we may fully expect to see the withdrawal of his care. In the words of George Washington, I am sure there never was a people who had more reason to acknowledge a divine interposition in their affairs than those of the United States, and I shall be pained to believe that they have forgotten that agency which was so often manifested during our Revolution, or that they failed to consider the omnipotence of that God who is alone able to protect them. This concludes the Religion History 101 Christianity versus Hinduism segment of our show, Racing to the White House. Thank you for watching Racing to the White House. My name is Angela KAAIHUE, and I am a candidate for U.S. House of Representatives, running as a Republican in District 2 and a Democrat for the special election in District 1. Because we need to come together and come up with bipartisan solutions to the issues Hawaii is faced with today. Mahalo and a hui ho until we meet again next time. Aloha.